Right, you are on the platform. We're going to go back to a story we've covered this morning. One of the reasons I got into the Wanaka McDonald's story was I read some stuff from our good friend Eric Crampton at the New Zealand Initiative, and I thought he hit the nail on the head. And look, Eric, firstly, welcome, mate. Lovely to see you.
Great seeing you again, too.
This story encapsulates so much of what is wrong with our country in terms of NIMBYism, red tape, woke bureaucracy, officials just doing things they shouldn't be doing. It's a beautiful kind of fable or apocryphal tale of New Zealand, isn't it?
It's an exemplar. You're right. It's got everything that is screwing up here. So at the same time as we've got massive health system queues, and they're having to look at de-staffing in Health New Zealand because of the spend up from the prior government, they've got officials that are spending their time putting together extensive submissions against a McDonald's in Wanaka. Now, whatever you think of the merits of McDonald's or the aesthetic values of it or whether their food is any good, this just is it's a farce for the resource management process. So it isn't uncommon for central government agencies to interact with district plan hearings. But normally that's within a framework. So if you've got a new development going in and it's going to have traffic implications, council might ask NZTA to come in and have a word on it. NZTA would have been involved in the planning for the district plan and the regional policy statement. The interaction will be within that framework. Everybody knows what to expect. Here they're coming out of nowhere for something that has no business in a land use planning system. If you think McDonald's is unhealthy and if you think that there should be some kind of healthy food regulation, land use planning ain't the place to do it for obvious reasons. We've got food safety regulations already. There are existing restaurants that would not be affected by consenting on new ones. There are varying consenting conditions across the country depending on zoning. Some places it's basically by right to set up a restaurant. Other ones, because it's being shifted from a rural area into slightly up, it has to go through a consenting process. Do you want to have your food safety guidelines going through the random draw of what the zoning regulations are?
The other great thing of that submission, Eric, was I don't know what the hell.
Oh my God!
You know where I'm going. What the hell health officials are doing, suggesting that somehow they should be reminding a planning committee on a council about its obligations under the Treaty of Waitangi.
Well, it's not just that, right? So they were pulling at every lever that they could in a vindictive way to try to block or raise the costs of the consent. A decent planning system would knock that back as having been like the submission was not put in with honest intent. All right.
Hang on. I want to stop you here. You've introduced a new motivation which I hadn't considered. I had thought that these woke officials were probably misguided but genuine. Are you saying this was almost an offence or a deliberate strategy and a malicious strategy against the people who want to build the McDonald's?
I am saying that any reasonable planning system would look at a submission like this and say this is exactly the kind of thing that we need to bat back summarily and probably put fines on the submitter for having done so.
Wow, which would be the taxpayer at the end of the day. So you're saying actually it was almost malicious. It's interesting, and I'm not sure if you're aware, Eric. We got a statement out of the minister's office yesterday, and I don't know why he bothered doing this. Apparently, we're allowed to attribute this to a spokesperson, which means the minister's approved this. The National Public Health Service within Health New Zealand needs to be firmly focused on prioritising public health. There's a lot of important work to be getting on with. The relevance of some of the NPHS submissions on this project weren't clear to the minister. And he has raised this directly with the Chief Executive of Health New Zealand.
Good.
And that suggests to me, it might only be two sentences, but it says to me that the minister is asking for a please explain at the highest level, which when I put it together with your suggestion, this was actually a malicious submission. Boy, heads could roll here. This isn't, This
I
is
think that the
serious.
word I was looking for is vexatious.